So hello everybody and welcome to this special second part of the focus that myself and our wonderful tribal astrologer friend and mythologist Kelley Hunter have been tracking with this Venus retrograde. It's been quite the process. We are coming up to the halfway point, which is with the Venus star point on the 13th of August on September. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to the master of ceremonies for this, Kelley Hunter. Hi Kelley, how are you?
Oh, good. This is such a journey. Oh my goodness. We're all on a heart journey, right? And I just let me remind everybody, what we're looking at, what we're, kind of contending with, so to speak.
So maybe as you're doing that, just a quick review of how this whole process started. We're now, I think, what is this, day 20 of the Venus retrograde process, which is roughly más o menos about 40 days, give or take a couple of days, I think. So
yeah, it's 40, 41, 42 for Venus to be retrograde. So it's July 22nd to September 3rd is when it turns forward. Yeah. And the Venus star point is the halfway point when Venus is in front of the sun from our point of view, which astrologically is a Venus-Sun conjunction. And we can't see it because, Venus is lost in the light of the sun and appears to be in the underworld. We do not see her. We are journeying down with her to connect with the life force in a refreshing way. That's the Sun-Venus conjunction when Venus is retrograde and closer to us than the sun. So this is the Venus star point, often considered the beginning of the 584-day Venus cycle.
Right.
And another week
kind of like
or
a rebirth, isn't it? It's a rebirth of the heart, we could say, almost.
Yes. And, the myth of Inanna, which we talked about a little last time, is that very story of Venus's movement through the sky. And so this is when she's right in the underworld and her dark sister Ereshkigal hits her with the eye of death, and so there's this moment of like almost a key point moment, I don't want to call it a frozen moment, but it's a key moment of, and this Venus retrograde is just extraordinary. Yeah. So I am sharing my screen and we are looking at the 5-pointed star that Venus makes over the 8 years of her retrograde cycle through these 5 different signs over and over. And this is the one we're looking at now. This is the one in Leo, which rules the heart. And so does Venus. So that's extra lovely. And if we look at this 5-pointed star in another way, as the way the Earth and Venus are intersecting, this is the picture we get. So it's also a 5-pointed, like a 5-petaled flower. It's so gorgeous. So let's look at...
I was saying it really is. And also just to add in something for those who work with the Mayan wave spells and wave energies, the Venus star point day is the day of manifestation in this particular wave spell, which is all about the blue night, which is dreaming. So when you start to put the layers in, it just gets more and more profound. And if you're able to work with both those energies, as I know you do too, then we can really start to manifest whatever is in our heart with that Venus energy. I mean, it's just beautiful, right? I mean,
well, that's it. Venus is about attracting and the manifesting and enriching and highlighting and making more beautiful and more joyful our lives at this point in the sign of Leo. Right. So here is the chart for the Venus star point. Now, this is done for where I live in Vermont. So we don't, which, is sort of on the ascendant, but this is it. So we're looking at Venus at 20 plus, 20, 28 Leo, the sun at 20, 28 Leo. Wow. So that's the Venus star point. Now we came across this degree before, So we have that 21 Leo, intoxicated chickens dizzily flap their wings trying to fly. It's like, I saw that and it's like, what could this mean? What is this about?
I'm curious to hear your interpretation. Please go ahead, Kelley.
You're going to have to help me with this one, Davyd.
Okay, so intoxicated chickens, dizzily flap their wings trying to fly. Well, we could understand it in different ways. We could be intoxicated. We've just been doing this journey to the heart of Mexico, and at the very end, we went to the temple of Tepoztlan, which is a pulque temple where the goddess energy was super strong, and that was the energy of fertility and abundance. So I definitely felt possibly a bit like an intoxicated chicken with the energy there on the mountain, as I've talked about already, flapping their wings, trying to fly. So we could say that maybe this is a bit of a mixed bag. Maybe being intoxicated and trying to fly is not a good idea. Maybe we need to be more grounded and centered. Maybe we need
there we go. There we go. That's a good one. It's like, oh, we're so happy.
Right.
Kind of thing.
Are we in control of ourselves? Are we trying to take off while we're still in the pulque ceremony at the top of the temple? As I have to share this because it was such a funny thing that it was only when I got home to here in Michoacan the following day that I realized when I connected with my plants and my medicines that some part of me was still in the pulque temple, waking up the following morning going, oh, where is everybody? The party seems to be open. Some part of me is still here, and then having to go, oh my God, I think everybody's left and I need to get home now. So I can identify with intoxicated chickens actually somehow, but in a good way, not in the bad way. This is the energy of the goddess and fertility and Venus, really, in many ways. So, and the postcard maybe from
we are in the ascension process, and that can be really ecstatic in moments, where synchronicities strike, and it's like, wow, life. This is how life is unfolding more and more.
Yeah.
So, we see the conjunction. Sandwiched by the two positions of Black Moon Lilith. This is the true Black Moon at 15 and the mean Black Moon at 24. So that's all, within 10 degrees. And this mean Black Moon is dancing with Venus in this whole retrograde process, bringing a deeper level of our being into play here. So it's not just the heart, it's also I'm starting to connect the Black Moon with the creativity of the womb energy that is resonant with the heart of the galaxy, the galactic heart, which they say, black hole. What does that mean? So it's connecting some deeper aspect of our soul connection, our soul spark, which is the heart of creativity, which is where creativity is manifest from. It's birthed from. And let's not forget that we have Haumea. I don't have her on here, but Haumea is like right here with the South Node back in Libra, and she's the birthing goddess. So there is this kind of birthing energy going on.
Absolutely.
And so here we are called to tap into this deeper place in ourselves that is the soul spark, that is the creative factor that is connected to our original birthing of our soul, however long ago, and that we are being asked to come from that place, to manifest from that place, which requires a lot of healing.
It does.
And that brings us right into this beautiful, very close trine with Chiron in Aries, which is basically saying, there's a smooth flow with the healing and alignment of the spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical, that this resonance is going maybe deeper than usual. And there's an opportunity here, if we have the courage of heart, to take new steps, to try new things, to go where no one has gone before, like the Star Trek motto. This is, this is like really exploring new territory. And I guess we could say, in the ascension process, we are kind of doing that.
Absolutely. This is uncharted territory. And again, the analogy on the pilgrimage that myself and Bella just did, the final place we ended up was the mountain, and we had to hike up with other pilgrimages a very, very steep ascent, and it wasn't in the plan, and yet somehow it's all unfolded on the most glorious of days. And I just want to loop back to a couple of things that you triggered in my awareness there. So in the Mayan calendar, the 13th of August is another galactic portal day.
Oh, yay.
Aware of, right? So what is a portal? Well, it could be a black hole. What is a black hole? It could be the womb. And in the tradition of Buddhism, we go to a place of emptiness, which is complete dissolution of self. Why? Well, I believe because that's the entrance to the rest of the universe. And it's only at that point when we dissolve our earthly self that we can access through the portal to the rest of the universe. Now, that portal is actually within inside of us. But on these most powerful of days, we can access other information, maybe other aspects of our soul that is in another part of the universe, or we can even ask for information to come for us that we need at this time. So I think that this is such a powerful day. And if there's one thing that perhaps is really clear already, is that this is a day where intention for the next 584-day cycle is super important, but also for the next 8 years of your life. And so pay attention, everybody. This is for real.
Yes. And tracking back, 2015, 2007, 1999, 91, 83, back every 8 years can give you clues. And I've done that in my life. And it's like 2015, wow, 1983 was major for me. Right. And it's resonating on so many levels with what's happening. And so Chiron is like synchronicity strikes again and has those magic moments of things coming together. A few days after this, on the 16th of August, there's a new moon, and it's a new moon. It's we'll be talking about that on Moons and Mythos soon, but it's got the sun and moon conjunct. And it's a Lilith flashpoint day.
When put it in my diary with big asterisks and stars and all kinds of like, don't miss out on this one. Yeah, no, it's an important day, right?
And Venus retrograde continues to be in a trine with Chiron. So I think this is very, very meaningful. But we've got to be really open and kind of fresh to whatever's happening, without a lot of baggage, without expectations, and be in that, like you said, void, and not let the ego get all twisted in a fit, and that's Leo often has to deal with the ego. And so we need a deeper look at allowing the ego to be a servant of that soul spark.
Right. I think this is really, really important, Kelley, and I'm glad you brought this up, because there are a couple of questions and things I'd like you to get to share more. But the ego is really the final barrier to the transcendence. And if our ego is still trying to control everything, even as the slippery character known as the inner saboteur, that little monkey can strike at any moment. And this is a moment where it's very likely to strike, because we have victory literally in our fingertips right now. Everything is all of the energy, all of the
from the heart. Yeah.
Right. So I'm understanding that with a trine to Chiron, the energy there is for that to be healed and to be released, but it needs to be addressed and looked at. And if it is, it can be released really quickly, because the heart is so ready now to make a shift. But can you give a little bit more about that particular trine and how that energy could play out? Because a trine is a good energy, right?
Yes, it's fire sign to fire sign.
Mm-hmm.
So it is, fire is motivation, it's energy, it's vitality, it has spirit fire in it, and so that it's like, do something different, like look at what your habits are, that are the unconscious reactivity with which we meet life on a regular basis. And the ego is built, by when we're born and how people are interacting with us. There's object relations theory in psychology that says, these early precognitive impressions of life really sort of build a scaffolding of who we think we are.
Who we think we are, exactly, not who we actually are. That's an important distinction. And you know, again, we mustn't give the ego too much of a battering, because he's the fella or lady who helps us, you know, basically manage calendars, computers. But we're talking about the ego that wants to control the show, the one that thinks it's in charge.
It's
a separation,
unless it's in control.
right?
And
who's really in control? Who's really the master of the piece, right? It's this guy, the heart, that's in control, and we just need to surrender to that process. And the other character, he needs to take a back seat and say, "Hey, buddy, take a load off, man. Somebody else has got the show now. You can kick back and enjoy the show for a bit, rather than stressing yourself to the max."
Let's put the mind to the side.
Right.
You know, often the mind, the mental aspect, are the air signs in astrology: Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. And we don't have any planets and air signs in this chart.
Right. And I'm also thinking that intoxicated chickens dizzily flapping their wings could also be the mind, the ego, trying to control. I need to control this.
Right, that's a good one.
I'm in bad shape and I'm trying to take off. Why? What am I doing? Where's the clarity, maybe?
Clarity is a good word for Aries in my book. And we've got the North Node in Aries now, too. And Eris is there. So it's, you know, that clarity is even more important, and we get shaken out of our complacency, you know, with Eris and with this dynamic going on here. I'm not sure I've shared this. I probably have that I read a piece by a Russian astrologer one time who was talking about the difference between the mean black moon and the true black moon. And he said, this is the mean black moon, the 24 Leo.
Yeah.
So this is what you think your issues are. And the mean black moon is what your issues really are. And that's why Lilith flashpoints are so incredible.
Right.
Because it's like one thing. It's like so fast, that Lilith flash. You know, if we can pick it up, we can really open up and merge, you know, that creative energy. So this is getting us ready. And I feel like this Venus star point is a bit stretched out to kind of meet that new moon, which is at 24 Leo.
I mean, we could understand perhaps that there's quite a gap here between the true and the mean, right? So what I would understand energetically is that there's still a bit of work to be done to close the gap. Right?
And it happens, that gap is closed by the new moon. So can we do it? And it's going to take the heart center to do it. Now, Davyd, this is 9 degrees different. This is really not very far apart. The two positions can be 30 degrees apart.
So it's not too bad. I think that's what you're saying, that the gap is there. It needs looking at, but it's not like it's a whole sign or more than, 30 degrees or something. It's not insurmountable. It just requires that little bit of healing work from our friend Chiron to maybe illuminate the space. So by the time we get to the new moon, that we're in good, coherent shape to really kick on. I think this is the moment
to come to this moment fresh, without preconceptions. And that's sort of part of the black moon energy as well.
Right.
Now you were talking about grounding and how to, about being grounded. So this Venus is squaring Uranus in Taurus and Jupiter in Taurus too. And that conjunction is coming together. It doesn't really come together until next year, but we're they have a rapprochement going on, and Jupiter is squaring one black moon. And the other is squaring the Uranus more closely, because this is almost 23 degrees of Taurus. And this is part of the consciousness shift that we're in right now. And Venus rules Taurus. And we talked about this last time, I think. And Venus rules Libra, where the South Node is. So Venus has a lot to say on what we're coming out of and what we're seeking to embody in a stronger way. And that does take courage of heart. So that's part of the Leo energy. And that courage comes from the heart. So there is this really beautiful energy. And it's, I think that, Venus is so much about relationship, and so is that South Node in Libra. So I don't know. I just ran into a friend I haven't seen for like I used to work with her 30 years ago.
Hmm.
And we have like not seen each other since then. And we had a really great visit yesterday.
Yeah.
And the other thing that was like a magical happening, going back to Chiron and synchronicities, I have an astrology friend who is dying, and I've been talking to her daughter. And so the other day, early in the morning, I opened my computer, and my computer has a contact page showing. I never go to my contact file on my computer, and it was open to the daughter's contact. So I felt like my computer was telling me to call her, which I did, you know. And so wow, so it's like there's meaningful connections being made. There's meaningful moments in relationship, like everything, every encounter has meaning and can be a test of, are you engaging in this encounter with an ego self or with something in the deeper, purer heart realm? Because that's what we are looking for in this ascension process.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, of course, we've talked about our dear old friend Dandelion many times, but again, this is Dandelion. How present are you right now to what is going on around you, and how many different opportunities do you have to connect with your heart and other people's heart? And or do you allow the ego to shut down and say, I don't want to do that, or don't, because otherwise we can shut ourselves off in almost every moment. And if we're just present and aware and grounded and not dizzily trying to take off when we're not ready, then we can be able to take off with a more controlled kind of ascension process, rather than one that takes off and maybe in a sort of an Icarus moment, our wings burn because we've gone too close to the sun and we crash back down again. I'd be very curious to see where the asteroid Icarus is at the moment. Actually, that would be funny, but that's one for me to check out later.
So when we're dropping down below, like into like self-doubt or all kinds of like negative Venus things, like we're not good enough or don't have enough money or whatever all of that is, this is also saying, don't go there, don't drop down, keep that vibration high, keep the bar high, and let's put it a little higher, because we can go there at this point.
I think you're talking about basically abundance blockages, and something Bella read to me just the other day that really resonated. I think from I can't remember, it was from one of the Mayan stuff. But anyway, it said something like the world is set up to be user friendly, and I love that idea because I totally concur with it. And the only reason it's not been really user friendly is because of all of the overlays and distortions that have been put into the Mother Earth and us, and now those have really, I feel, been lifted out over the last couple of weeks. It's been profound to feel the shift in the energy.
Well, the shift continues with this Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in Taurus, which is a sign of richness and resources and groundedness, squaring this Venus, and this is still in progress. Because where Venus is now at 20 degrees, it's going to come back to that point when it's goes forward, which is September 3rd. And then we're going to have another, dynamic between Venus and Uranus, Jupiter and Taurus. So this is one of the big parts of this. And then the Chiron trine is another really major aspect of this Venus star point. And I want to point out that Chiron is very closely square the moon in Cancer, its own sign.
Right. So tell us a bit more about that. I was going to ask you, how do you see that playing out? Can you talk about those two energies in those signs and how that could look?
I sure can, because I have my moon in Cancer and I have my North Node in Aries. So this is, Cancer, like security and stability, and it's like more comfortable when it's in its like groove. Okay. It likes that it's not a sign that likes change until it starts to really understand that change is growth. We want growth, and we want to continue to grow and nurture the plants, and we can't grow if we stay in our little cave. But we also need to take care of ourselves in the process of this Venus star point, which is opening up more heart energy. We need to take care of that process and withdraw into our, comfort zone a bit, so that we can take steps out of it without, Cancer likes to go in the water and get used to it as it goes, and then it can stay in the water for a while. That's the way I go swimming.
Love that analogy. It's kind of like how to be in the safe space and still pushing our comfort zone a little bit, but without it being something so terrifying that we're going to completely block it, reject it, and say, I don't want to do that again. It's kind of like it's like swimming in the sea. There's a bit where you feel comfortable, the water's slapping against your ankles, then you get out and the water's up to your waist and you have to start swimming, and then you go a bit further out and the waves are breaking over your head. But each step is taking you a little further out of your natural comfort zone, and until you get comfortable with it and say, okay, that's enough for me. I can't feel the bottom now. I want to swim back, or I'm loving this. I'm a seal in dancing in the sea spray of the waves. And so everybody's a bit different. But I love that analogy because it gives us the space to feel comfortable with each step that we take forward.
Whereas Aries is just going to jump in.
Right.
Hopefully, if it's off a diving board or off a cliff, it's going to make sure,
there's enough water to jump into, right? That's probably helpful.
So it's like exploring possibilities with an increasing clarity of listening to yourself and what feels right. On the other hand, Moon and Black Moon have a very intimate relationship, because the Black Moon is based on the moon's orbit around the Earth. So and the moon goes around the Earth, and what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that so if we're thinking about the Black Moon as the cosmic womb, or the galactic heart, or that void,
right? Okay.
Moon is more the personal womb, more the there's a kind of womb space energy that women have physically, but men have emotionally.
Right, of course.
And so this is a kind of connection between the two, being mediated by Chiron and offering a lot of healing of the moon stuff, which is the family wounds, by radiating more heart energy of forgiveness, compassion, self-forgiveness, self-compassion, and really loving ourselves more fully and than ever. And that's a positive statement. That's what Venus retrograde is really about. You come talk to me, because you've got to attend to the most important relationship, the one with yourself, and going into a very deep place in that heart center that connects with something divine. And that's what this particular Venus retrograde with Black Moon is so potent for.
I mean, I think now that you've explained that, and I'm just looking at it and seeing how Chiron is literally illuminating both the moon and the Black Moon, and it's just like, there you go. It's obvious, really. It's like, this is the final, I would say, well, not the final, but it's a perfect opportunity to explore whatever wounding there is in the creation space, in the womb space, so that it can be freed up, so that we can use the energies of the universe to manifest whatever we want, really. And now that the blockages have been removed, it's kind of what I was saying about the abundance blockages. What blockages do we have left that are stopping us to live the full, holistic, abundant life that we've always had the blueprint for ourselves? That's what our higher self gives to us when we're connected to our heart from the 5D space. It's much easier for them to go, here it is. Here's the blueprint of your life that you created with me, because we're all one for you in this moment. And are you able to receive it, because the blockages have now been removed? I think it's really
look at what's going on in the larger picture with the Uranus, one of the revolutionary dynamics of in our world right now, with the financial realignment happening. And this could be like really good And so there's the intoxicated chickens, like, wow, I didn't know it could get so good. Or, some people are more worried than creating a new vision.
Right. And that's something I want to say, because for those paying attention, the financial situation is very much in the spotlight, and it's likely to be even more so, I think, over the next week to 10 days. So pay attention, everybody, to what your moves are in that regard, and choose to either panic and think you've lost everything, or choose to stay centered and assess the situation and make your moves accordingly, so that the next part of your life can unfold. How you understand what I just said will depend on how much you've already looked into all of this, but just sharing something I think that is important, because it could actually change your life. The more you're paying attention, the more you're centered in yourself, in your heart, the more you're connected to upstairs, and the more your upstairs can tell you, hey buddy, make a move. This is the moment where you can change your life, and not do like many people might do, which is panic and think they've lost everything. Because this is a moment of choice again, right, Kelley?
Yes, and that moon in Cancer has security issues. They like money in the bank, and it's like there's a different kind of energy going on, but also a really positive side of the moon in Cancer is like feeling like, the Divine Mother really has your back. I heard somebody saying that a good way to deal with this time is to feel like, to feel the back of your heart energy and lean against it and know that, the Divine Mother has your back. You can feel that. You can, feel comfortable there, and then you can open your heart more. So I think that's a good way to think about it too. I wish I remember who said that.
I love that, because, I think one of the energies that's been very present over the last week or so is the full returning energy of the goddess, who has been really much absent from this planet for a long time. Still here in pockets, but fragmented. But now the portals and gateways have opened for her to fully return. And that's something that many of us have not really fully experienced for a very, very long time. And so that in itself is going to bring a lot of healing, but it's also going to bring exactly what you just said, is a sense of security that, finally, maybe somebody has my back, which is maybe a story that many of us have not experienced before, that somehow the rug is always going to get pulled from under our feet. And just as things look good, somebody comes and destroys it, or something happens and it all falls apart again, and we start the cycle again. Only this time it's going to be different, because everything has been laid out for it to be different. And all we have to do is open our hearts and choose to accept that possibility, I think.
No matter what's going on,
exactly, no matter what's going on around us, like
the black moon, it can be the wild mother, that throws you a curveball, because that's what's going to wake you up. And that's what the black moon is about, whatever it takes to blow your mind and get you into the heart. So that's pretty strong, kind of fire energy,
Right. And fire is the energy of creation. We mustn't forget, it's fire in the womb that brings the spark. Fire is the birthing point. And so if we've got that beautiful womb space, as you said, both masculine and feminine, male and female, that is the place of dreaming and creation. And so if we can allow that space to be fully held safely, securely, so that when the divine spark comes in, maybe through a galactic portal on the 13th, or however you want to work this astrology, then it's ready. And all you have to do is give it the safe, nurturing space within yourself for it to grow. Give it a little bit of water, and let whatever seeds you planted start to flourish into the amazing trees, plants, dreams, visions, cat parenthood, whatever is coming your way, that is part of your destiny.
Well, here's Neptune. It's in a quincunx. It is like nudging that dream, and for you to make it beautiful. I want to address, Davyd, the entrance of the cat here into this discussion, wants to be part of it. The moon in Cancer, exactly where it is in Hindu mythology, is the moon mansion that has to do with cats.
Wow. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Well, the moon mansions, Chinese had them, Arabs had them, the Vedic people, that's like one of the most important things in the chart, the moon mansion that you were born in. The moon has, 27 places. There's a little bonus one that can be a 28th in its cycle. And so there's a bunch of stars that define that place where the moon is that night. And so it's regular clockwork. And, you can really count on lunar calendars that, that are the 13 months of the year. And that's not unlike, in some ways, the 13 of the Mayan calendar too.
Right.
Know
Interesting.
about the, sync between that. But the moon mansions, each one has a particular stars, meanings, mythology, certain gods and goddesses, and animal totems. And Shakti powers, goddess powers. So the moon in this section of Cancer is Punarvasu, which is making things shine again, and it's the power of abundance, basically. It's the power of abundance.
It's so interesting because, as you know, we've been working with the Stellar Nations fixed star astrology, and the wave spell that we're currently working is the great felines. That's the constellations that we've been working with, and the galactic story is very much attached for those beings from those constellations to the departing goddess, and why she had to sacrifice herself in this realm for her children to understand what true sovereignty was about. It's an incredibly beautiful story, but this makes me think that this is the wound of the cat beings being healed somehow, and it's going to allow that energy to come fully back now onto this planet, and whatever past mistakes you can say, or evolutionary steps had to unfold, have now finally been reattuned, realigned, and that is the process that we're all in. I mean, the more you look at it, the more it just keeps unfolding, and all of our ancestors, the ancients, be it Vedic, Arab, Mayan, Aztec, they all understood the same different processes, but in their own slightly different nuanced ways. But yeah, it doesn't matter which way you look at it, they all still end up adding together. And cats are very, very present in my life right now. So it's wonderful.
The moon has to do with your family ancestry. And I said Chiron squaring the moon is like healing family patterns. So one of the things that, in any encounter that's going on, and I said earlier that every encounter is meaningful now because it's giving you information about what part of yourself are you coming from. Right. And even when you see somebody like I met it was interesting to see with this woman I knew basically 30 years ago, how much we've both changed.
Right.
A level of rapport we have as well. And also, like myself, which part is coming out in any of our discussion areas. We talked about life, death, family. Oh, we talked about everything. It was so fun. And that kind of thing, the moon in Cancer is like, what do you need? And the Venus aspect is what makes you joyful. So can we align those? What I need is more joy in my life.
And this is the place where the culmination of what you need and what you want can actually be the same thing, possibly for the first time in your life. What I need is what I want, and what I want is what I need. And once you step into that place, then life is going to flow in a completely different way, very much from the heart. With the balance, I think this is really the key point, the balance of the masculine and feminine has been so out of whack for so long. And this is no finger pointing, it's just a part of the evolutionary story that we've been in. And now that's going to come back to a rebalance, as I've said before, her story, his story, and now our story. Our story as individuated beings, as drops in the ocean of consciousness. And how do we now step up from human teenagehood to human young adulthood? And how do we start to engage with the people around us? And how do we meet everybody somehow as an equal and as an opposite to us? And engage in a new way of doing things, new way of interacting, maybe with contract law. Maybe we're going to see new ways of engaging in trade, in relationships, partnerships. From a 5D perspective, everything looks very, very different. And that's going to be scary for some people who are not used to that way of being.
It's kind of going on automatic. This is not on time when you can go on automatic, and so talking about the masculine, where is Mars? Mars is in Virgo, and Mercury is in Virgo, its own sign. So this is this is demonstration. This is working with your body as your instrument. This is working with that. Also, Mars is opposite Neptune. So Mars is helping generate the dream of the earth.
Wow.
Virgo, which is nature, the rhythm of the seasons, and really has a pretty good sense of timing. So we have to give up our self-critical aspect. That doesn't help Venus or Mars.
No, self-admonishment, even, even if it's maybe good to you sometimes, in the long term, it's just another burden that you end up carrying. So rather than get into the manipulated trap, I feel, of going around in that hamster wheel, to take that eagle's perch perspective and say, hey, everything's actually okay. Again, dandelion, it's always perfect. There's always a good reason why something seemingly bad had to happen, because it's part of your evolution. So there is no bad, there just is. There's just an expansion that is continuing. And I love that idea that Mars opposing Neptune is generating the dream of the earth, and maybe generating the dream within us. Maybe we dream with the earth.
Yes, exactly. Who's dreaming? Are the earth dreaming us, or are we dreaming the earth? Yeah, it's a mutual thing.
Right, exactly. And so just give us a few more hits and juicy bits about Mars conjuncting Mercury in the sign of Virgo, because obviously, I mean, it's a 4-degree.
Oh, you'll love this, Davyd. Yes, because it's, Mars activation, Mercury communication.
Right.
With nature. That's Virgo.
Oh,
now,
wow.
Mercury's going to go retrograde in a week or two. And so it's going to be in Virgo extra long. And so when Venus goes forward on September 3rd, I think it's like less than a week later, I think maybe on the 10th, if I'm doing this right, that Mercury will go forward as well. But this is an interesting, this is not terribly unusual, but it's to take advantage that we're reevaluating and then realigning our thoughts and our like, what pieces do we want in our puzzle, basically.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's very personal because my descendant is in Virgo with Ceres, and it's conjunct those two on that day. So I'm just like, that's again very much about earth, about plants, about I think certainly a lot of where I'm at, and to have that being activated with Mars and the ability to communicate that to others, or maybe even to communicate on a personal level with more plants and trees. For sure, we've seen a big expansion in that idea over the last few years of communicating with plant intelligence at the quantum level. But how do we do that? We can only communicate with plants through the heart, so again, the loop is there.
And animals too. A cat taught me that. But yeah, you got to communicate from the heart. He wouldn't.
Telepathy is not a mind activity, it's a heart activity, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Wow.
Yeah. So we've got all the earth signs. We've got this really potent pair in Virgo, this really potent pair in Taurus, and then Pluto back in Capricorn there. So this really is a kind of demonstration of the energy. So I think there's going to be some manifestation that does work with that Venus-Uranus square and open something up that could be entirely unexpected.
Juicy.
Yeah.
Look, I know that we have a Moons and Mythos show coming up very soon, so we're not going to focus too much on the new moon, but just as a sort of maybe as a final thought or two as we approach the end of this particular overview, of course, Pluto is still squaring the nodes, but now the emphasis has changed, right? Because before it was in Scorpio Taurus axis, and now we have a fairly tight squaring.
Very tight, yes.
With the nodes now being in Aries and Capricorn. So can you give a few little hints and tips about that one?
Well, and also let's observe that in October, Pluto is back as close as it's going to get to the United States Pluto from 1776. Wow. So that's continuing, but this is a realigning of relationships, even on a global level. And that's part of what's, motoring this financial shift, is there's new alignments and liaisons going on as people are realigning trade agreements, all kinds of agreements, and with different players than, you would have thought, or that have happened before, or that are for Venus, improving things and helping everybody. And so this is a definitely turning point moment where we're moving forward, we're not moving back. The undermining part of Libra can be when you're accommodating other people and you're not standing in your sovereignty and your clarity and your center. So there's a bit of a challenge with that, with the Pluto, which way are you going?
And, I think this is something we've said before many times, that there have been lots of choice points, moments of choice, but in the end, you do have to choose. Are you going to step into the future, or are you going to allow yourself to be pulled down and back with the past? And there are still many of the past energies present in our world, desperately trying to take whatever they can with them, but they're finished. They're on their way out. Those energies are now finished on this realm, and we can all look forward to a very, very different, newer future. But we have to choose that. It's not like a God-given right. We still have to make a choice. And if we are choosing to avoid our stuff, avoid looking at the things that Chiron wants to show us, it's going to get a little rocky. And maybe if we're still going, I don't want to hear about then we're going to make a bad choice, and we're going to still believe some of the narratives that somehow are still being pumped to this.
Well, the moon is squaring the nodes too. So like you just said, if we stay with the past, we aren't going to grow and we aren't going to move forward. And it's, we're going down with the show, So this is doing the healing and looking for the new ways, creating, envisioning, imagining a new way and renegotiating old agreements.
Right. So I was going to ask you, like, where in the chart is the possibility of deception or illusion likely to manifest? And I'm wondering whether the Neptune aspect to Pluto is likely to bring that up.
Well, when the outer planets are in, a square, that's a pretty strong call to action, and you're dealing with it. If it's a trine, this is a sextile, actually. The two planets are working together. So if they're on the growth side, that's great. If they're not, they're going to undermine. They're going down together, so to speak. And fortunately, they're both retrograde. When outer planets are retrograde, it's a kind of questioning of the a herd instinct, let us say. It's questioning the trends of the time. So this chart is questioning the trends of the time. And Neptune made a quincunx to Venus when it went retrograde at 28. And so is Pluto. So when you have a quincunx on either side, it's called the finger of God, or in this case, the finger of goddess. And there she is, So it's adjustment. It's a constant adjustment. It doesn't let you settle. It's this creative process that we're in, and deepening in that inner journey to bring forward the dream we want to be experiencing, not the nightmare that some people are promoting.
So let me just, I want to put a few things into place there for myself, but also for our audience. So what we're looking at here is a Neptune at 27 degrees of Pisces in a sextile to Pluto at 28 degrees of Capricorn, correct?
Yeah.
But also creating a yod, or a finger of goddess, to the mean black moon at 24 degrees here. It's a little, it's not really, really tight, but it's not bad. It's only to a 3-degree orb. And a yod, as I understand, because I have a couple of them in my charts, can often be an unresolvable issue that goes around and around, but they can also generate a lot of power depending on how they're set up.
Yeah.
So 2 questions for you, and really so that maybe our audience can understand these slightly different concepts slightly better. What is the energy of a sextile, and how would that play out with Neptune and Pluto? Because one is above the line of consciousness and one is below the line of consciousness, as I would understand it. Pluto being below and Neptune being above. So and then with this kind of trigger point, really, which is the mean black moon, which would also give us an opposition somewhere that would be, what would that be, like 25 degrees of Aquarius, which would be the midpoint between Neptune and Pluto, right? So
well, I was also mentioning where Venus actually went retrograde, which was 28 Leo.
Well, that's even more. That's even more tight, right? Okay, now I didn't
get back there until October. Wow. So we have this adjustment going on, and the reason a yod is challenging is because it's got air, fire planet, it's got an earth planet, it's got a water planet, it's got cardinal energy, which is the Capricorn, which is initiating. It's got fixed, which stabilizes, and then it's got mutable, which is harvesting and moving along.
Okay.
So it's bringing a lot of energy to bear here, a lot of factors, so that's part of it. So yeah, we'll get more into this maybe on the new moon too, when the moon's in Mythos. Yeah, I think that might be enough to digest at the moment, but the bottom line is come from your heart and trust it. Black moon requires radical trust.
Right. So did you have one more slide you wanted to show quickly before the end, Kelley, or are you going to keep that for Moons and Mythos?
Yeah, I think this is what we want, the Venus star point. We want to focus on that and contemplate this and, be as simple as possible with it, because, it is heart, creativity, courage, love. Let's just bring forward all the best words. And there's the Mercury, Mars. Let's bring forward the best words and do it, Right.
Well, let's just take the chart down for the last 30 seconds or so, and we'll just wrap up. This has been amazing, Kelley. Absolutely timely, as always. Beautiful. And I think that, it is actually relatively simple, everybody. Tune into your heart. Understand that there is a powerful portal day, initiation day. And if you're really tuned into the astrology, as we like to share with you, then you can really make it work for you. And the more clarity, attention, and intention that you bring to these processes, the more powerfully they will manifest, because that's all they can do in a user-friendly world for you. And so my final suggestion would be meditate on everything that our wonderful tribal astrologer Kelley has shared with us here, because it's always on point, always useful. See how does it relate to you, and see how does it feel in your heart. And then, set those prayers for the 13th. How are you going to live your next 584-day cycle with Venus? How are you going to live your next 8 years? Call it in for yourself without blockages, no ifs, buts. The universe only wants to hear positive affirmations. So we don't want to hear, I don't want that, I don't want this. This is what I want. This is what I need. Right, Kelley? So I think that's it's actually pretty simple, right? The heart is actually a simple but very complicated, but essentially simple place.
Very highly electromagnetic energy field, that it's the strongest energy in the body.
And as one of my teachers once said, pound for pound, love is the most powerful force in the universe, and that is the organ that generates that.
Yes, and it overcomes everything.
It does. So I think that's an amazing place to wrap up. Thank you again, sister, for this wonderful sharing. And I know that there's more to come from Venus, and I know there's a lot more to come from Black Moon Lilith very soon. And of course, we will be doing our Moons and Mythos show very, very soon too. So have fun with this, everybody. This is a time to enjoy life, to feel the energies that are radiating down on the planet. And Kelley, do you have a final word to share before we?
It's such a personal process. The show is going on out there. But the Venus, it changes from the inside out. If you're changing in here, the what's being mirrored back in your life is going to change for the better.
Wow, beautiful, perfect. So thank you very much, Kelley, as always, for sharing your wonderful wisdom. And I know this is deeply personal to you on both levels with Black Moon Lilith and Venus. So I know there's a lot of your heart energy in all of this, which I've really felt today and in some of the previous pieces we've done around this. So thank you again, dear sister. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to this. And we'll see you all again very soon. And all we can do is keep it heart. Ciao for now.
Bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.